हरेक मङ्गलबार बिहान हामी ट्रली बसमा बसेर हामी सूर्य विनायक मन्दिरमा जान्थ्यौँ। मन्दिरमा जाने त छँदैछ, त्यो पनि अब ट्रली बस चढ्नेमा चाहिँ हाम्रो धेरै सोख हुन्थ्यो। भगवान्कोमा जाने न्युमा चाहिँ हामी ट्रली बस चढ्न पायौँ नि।
In 1975, during the reign of King Birendra, a 13-kilometer trolley bus system was started from Kathmandu to Bhaktapur, with a grant of Rs 40 million provided by the People's Republic of China, along with 22 trolley buses. These vehicles operated with power from these electric lines, which significantly decreased our dependence on important fossil fuels, along with costing only Rs 3 to 4 depending on the route, making it cheap, dependable, and a clean mode of transportation. But despite all this, why were they discontinued? And why are the only trolley buses that we see today stranded in junkyards? Initially, it was King Mahendra who negotiated with the Chinese government for the trolley bus system in 1972. But the system was only implemented during the reign of his successor, King Birendra. The first model of the trolley bus in Nepal was the Shanghai SK541. It was a robust vehicle that lasted for decades. Operating from Kathmandu to Bhaktapur, this was the first time that we witnessed the use of electricity for transportation in our country. With a growth rate of 15% per year, this was a major step in the development and use of electric vehicles in Nepal.
ट्रली बसको भाडा पनि सस्तो थियो। अब उस बेला जुन हाम्रो भक्तपुरको मिनी बसहरू छ हैन, बन्जीपार धुलीखेलबाट आउने बसहरू छ, उनीहरूको भाडा भन्दा ट्रली बसको भाडा धेरै सस्तो थियो। साउन्ड हुँदैन हैन, अब त्यो बिजुलीले चढ्ने, अनि धेरै नै स्मुथ चाहिँ थियो पहिलाको ट्रली बस। मानिसहरूलाई धेरै सजिलो पनि थियो।
In the 90s, between all the protests and the rise of political parties in Nepal, there was something else going on in the Trolleybus Corporation. In 1988, the corporation had about 180 employees. In 1989, it had 400. This was the result of political parties trying to use their power to turn a corporation that once promised so much into an overcrowded organization filled with unnecessary and unqualified number of employees.
पहिलो लोडको ट्रली बस चाइनाले दिएको थियो नि हामीलाई, अनि बिचमा चाइनाले त्यो ट्रली बस थपिदिएको थियो। पहिलाको अलि सानो थियो, अनि पछि आउँदाखेरि त धेरै ठुलो ट्रली बस चाहिँ आएको थियो। त्यो पनि धेरै नै सुविधा चाहिँ दिएको थियो।
In 1997, China donated 10 more buses of the newer SY-D60C. It had more features than the previous model, but at the same time was harder to maintain, something the employees weren't prepared for. This, coupled with the industry going into loss, caused these newer models to be unsustainable. In 2003, after being suspended for 18 months, the operation was revived again. But less than a year later, the line was cut back and the trolley buses now operated between Tripureshwar and Koteshwar only. Unfortunately, with only 3 of the 32 buses running on the route, this was not enough to sustain the system. And it was estimated that the operation was losing 2 million rupees every month. Finally, in 2009, after countless losses and debts, the operation was officially shut down. With the increase in the number of conventional vehicles in the valley, the import of foreign fuel was starting to increase drastically. With this came the tax money for the government. In the fiscal year 2012-2013, the government earned Rs 22 billion in just taxes from petroleum products. But this isn't just a story of a trolley bus. It's a story of how simple things like these can take us back to the days where there were less facilities but somehow more smiles. It's a story of how far we've come, but not in the way that we might have expected. It's a story of how an innovation and an asset became a victim to our system. And even though we have alternatives today, it just makes you wonder, what else could have been?